Today on the show, strategy plus action equals the power of personalization. Great coaches and consultants like you have the ability to change people's lives and transform entire organizations. And your impact can often go far beyond the clients you work with. One of the reasons I love working with coaches and consultants is because of that ripple effect. This show is here to highlight your expertise and empower you with resources and new ideas to grow your business. Welcome to Strategy in Action. Welcome to Strategy in Action. Jeremy Blubaugh is on the show today, and we dig in around this concept of personalization, especially when it comes to outreach and trying to break through the noise as a sales rep or business owner, just to get across from that prospect who you can help if you just had that opportunity to connect with them and simply have a conversation. So Jeremy's entire business and expertise and all of that is around this concept of finding those personalized ways to connect to that other person, reach out to them, and get that meeting, get that phone call, that face to face, whatever that may be, for his clients. He does it for himself, of course, to get his clients, but his specialty is around having those clients who they get the concept, they understand that yes, that creative way you got in front of somebody, that's great. I don't have time for that. You handle it. And that's where his company, CoinFlip Marketing, comes in. They handle all of that for their clients and find these new, amazing ways to do this. Wonderful conversation. I think you're going to love it. Let's jump in. Welcome to Strategy in Action, Jeremy Blubaugh. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me, sir.
Yes, absolutely. So this is fun. There's a lot of times on this show, I'll bring people on. It's a selfish endeavor, right? Because, it's folks I know, and you know what? I haven't talked to them in a while. Let's bring them on. Sometimes it's folks just like you, Jeremy, who I meet, invite on the show simply because of LinkedIn post I saw of yours around personalization. And that's what I want to go deep on this show with, because it really, I don't know. It's something I really dig. I don't know a lot about. It's not something that I feel like I do enough, is that personalization and outreach. And like your book, wow moments, creating enough wow moments. I want to dig into that too, even though that may be a little bit of an offshoot for us. I want to dig into that because that stuff's fun. It's all the human side of business and getting creative, and I think that's such a blast. But I want to give people some context for sure. So tell us about the company you've founded around this, CoinFlip, and what you guys do, and what kind of led you to this whole topic of personalization.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. For everyone listen, Jeremy Blubaugh. I'm the Chief Prospecting Officer at CoinFlip Marketing. I'm the owner as well. But really what we do is, I joke with everyone my first time we talk about is we're professional attention getters. And I believe in a simple equation in sales. Before there's a decision, there's an engagement. Before there's an engagement, there's attention. If you can't get anybody's attention, game over. There'll never be engagement. There'll never be indecision. Doesn't matter how good you are. Now you got to be good in that part of the pipeline, the sales pipeline. But we really kind of help fill that first void. Like, how do you actually get someone's attention? And we found that personalization is the best way to do that. And to answer where my company actually came from, where the idea kind of stemmed from, I read a book in 2016 by named John Ruhlin called Giftology. You maybe heard of it. You haven't heard it. You have. Check it out. It's really how to take gifts and, number one, kind of get more referrals, create these referable moments, and really kind of help build your pipeline. And at the time when I read this book, I was in the asset management side, and we have very specific gift limits, meaning I was not allowed to spend $100 and a penny on a client. Once I spent over a penny and $100 on a client, my wrist was slapped. I did it twice. I was fined, probably banned from the industry. You were done. So your financial advisor, anybody in the asset management business, anybody in the insurance business, they all play within these $100 gift limit rules. And I was reading this book by John, and I'm like, I love what he's talking about here, but I could never do this stuff because he's sending $500 gift, sometimes $5,000 gifts. And I'm like, whew, I like my job too much to go get fined and get a mark on my U4 and never get back into the industry again. So that's
Right.
really, we started to learn about personalization. Like, how do you actually use the information that's out there on people, take it, sort through it, and use it to make sure you get someone's attention, to get those meetings that everyone covets with those high-end prospects. And that's what we do, is either we can help you consult do it, or we do the work for you. And I would say 9 out of 10 people actually hire us just to do the work, because there's a lot that goes into it. And behind myself, I'm a big believer in outsourcing. So obviously I preach that as well, as we're the experts, let us do the work. But there are 10% of the people who say, hey, let's come in and teach us. We'll do it. And what's actually funny is most of those people come back about a year later and say, hey, we didn't really do it. Will you do it for us? So
Isn't that usually the case? Yeah.
yeah. And it goes back to our earlier conversations, right? It's like, if you don't make it and schedule it and do it, and then once you miss it, boom.
Yeah.
And not to digress a little more, is what happens, what I find is, when a typical sales rep or business owner does what we do, it takes a lot of time to do what we do. And they'll do it once, they'll send it to you. Oh, he didn't respond, doesn't work. He did it once. Or you'll do 3 of them. One, it works the first time, it works the second time, the third time doesn't work. Oh, it didn't work. I'm like, yeah, 2 for 3. You just had a 67% hit ratio, which is unheard of to get meetings with high-end coveted prospects, and you're giving up. And that's usually just human nature, right? We just start to give up. So think, if you have 10 people, by week 2, you have 5 people doing it. By week 3, you have 2.5 people doing it. And by week 4, only 1 person's doing it. Hence why, we have a consulting business / do it for yourself service.
Right. Well, I mean, we as entrepreneurs, we're bad enough at stopping doing the things that do work, much less things that don't work every single time. Yeah.
What's funny, I got an email from a client. They did a ton of work with us last year. I didn't hear from them January to probably March 1st. And I got an email, subject lines, it works so good, I stopped doing it. And now they started getting back on board again. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's just human nature, right? Life gets in the way, your family, you have work, you have, unfortunately, sicknesses going on with what's going on in this world. Like, things just happen and we get caught up. And, I'm just a big believer in outsourcing. I'm going to outsource a lot of what we do in our business to get help. And I mean, that's the proper way to run a business personally. But
yeah, for sure. That's funny. That I remember hearing an interview with his name's John, right? The giftology.
John Ruhlin.
John
Yes,
Ruhlin,
yep.
yeah. I remember an interview. Maybe it was Mixergy, maybe but I remember an interview with him and it was the same thing went off in my head, like that. Like, oh my gosh, I love that. That art of finding and crafting and creating that perfect gift, that personalized deal. Yeah, that would just wow somebody, whether it's, and that's the thing. It sounds crazy. Oh, you spend $5,000 on something, but if it's $100,000, deal that's almost guaranteed to get you at least a conversation when you couldn't before. Oh yeah, being creative with all that's. Yeah.
That's a return on investment I'd be willing to invest in, but
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people aren't.
For sure.
Still kind of stuck in the old way of thinking that we're going to pick up the phone and dial 100 times and get 3 appointments and send 1,000 emails with this mail merge the client's name in there to look like it's personalized. And it's the old adage: if you always do what you always get, you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And that's a lot of mentality in the business world, in the sales world. They just continue to stay in this hamster wheel, and they won't get out of their own way and try new things. And part of it is management says, hey, things are okay, or why break it? When things could be so much better. So
oh, big time. And a lot of times they're either in a regulated industry like you described, or even when they're not, it can still be this excuse, right? They just lean on that. Well, it's just an industry, and we just got to stick to these things. We can't rock the boat at all, and all of that. So I want to dig in and make sure that people understand exactly what you're doing for folks when it comes to this personalization, because it sounds like it's not, like in the giftology book, right? It's not these things and all of that you're necessarily putting together so that people can stay compliant. They're not, you're not going in there with $4,000 gifts to send out to out to folks because of the industry you're working in specifically. What exactly are you doing for folks to create that personalization?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and to kind of feed off your comments. Yeah, I mean, coming from a highly regulated industry, I know industries have rules and regulations. Some do, some don't, and we play within those rules and regulations. And a perfect example, and then I'll get into it, is I worked with a scent company last year that wanted to get in some of the larger retailers across the country. A lot of these large retailers like Home Depot, Lowe's, they can't take gifts. So we had to be very, very creative ideas on how we open up these doors, because they're going to look bad if they send them a gift and say, hey, you should know that we can't give gifts. But so when I say personalization, you know, we're big believers in using people's names, faces, and interests. And there's a really why we like to do this, and I like to lean on kind of past reason why this works. If you read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but in that book he says people's names to them is the sweetest sound in the world. People love to see their names. People love to see their pictures. And guess what? People love to talk about themselves, them. And I would say 99% of, like probably 99.9% of outreach focus on you, why we can help you, assuming me, 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 me. It's never about you, right? It's always about our product, our features. And then all of a sudden out of left field, this personalized outreach comes. That number one is what makes us different is we do US Mail or UPS or FedEx, whatever the company wants to use. We go left when everybody's going right. Everybody wants to go digital, more digital, online. We don't. And there's really kind of three things why it works and why we like this way is, when's the last time you got something highly personalized in the mail? You probably can't even name it, right? I joke I'm the king of personalization. I haven't got one. I still get this generic stuff from these realtors, these financial advisors about steak dinners. I'm like, is this still working? Like, I've actually sent personalized gifts to them. Like, are you open to a better way? Because I can't imagine this is still working. So that's one reason why it works. It's completely different. Second, it's about you. So if you have any type of online presence, which most business leaders, executives, people today have some type of online presence, you can find information out about them, their website, their LinkedIn, a quick Google search. You can probably find out what sports team they cheer for. They're probably going to brag about their hobbies, the big fish they caught down in the Bahamas last year, if they're big fishers. They're going to tell it all. And if it's online, it's fair game. They want the world to know that about them. And we use that information to our advantage. And also, most likely you can find a picture of them. So we love to use Photoshop, take pictures of them, Photoshop them on front of magazines, front of Wall Street Journal, front of Forbes magazine. We like to have fun with it, and really kind of highlight the magazine cover that they might be in their industry. So, for financial advisors, when I'm targeting them, I Photoshop them the Wall Street Journal and I create like a finance magazine cover. And most financial advisors have never been in front of the Wall Street Journal or in front of a finance magazine. They love it. This has been my dream. You didn't really like fulfill the dream, but you kind of got me halfway there, right? Like, I'm there, I got this card. But what's great is when we do these type of outreach, the third thing is I call you get real estate. You get real estate in their head because they talk about everybody like, you can't believe what this sales rep just sent me. We also, when we do the personalized cards, I can show some samples in a second, we try to do tangible gifts. You get real estate in their office as well, or at their home, wherever you send the gifts to. We try to do things that they're going to use, that are going to kind of spark conversations that say, hey, where'd you get that gift? Oh, the sales rep from XYZ company or ABC Corporation sent this to me. And they're like, huh, my company, who I do business in that sector, I haven't heard from them in a year. And they're sending you personalized gift. And then what happens? Like, wait, you think the gift's great? Wait do you see the card they sent me with it? So we're trying to create wow moments, or that personalized gift that really gets that attention to kind of first solve that part of the equation: attention, engagement, decision.
Oh yeah, because that's what I always focus on with folks is, that thing that they're never going to throw away, right? Like it's going to sit on their desk, whether that's a photo book after an event we did or something like that, or but like nice hardcover, something, you don't want to send a 7-foot statue to somebody. Maybe they won't throw it away, but they're going to feel burdened by it. So you find that balance, right?
You go put it up in their front yard and screw it down with make sure they can't leave it.
Pour the concrete while they're out of town. Yeah, exactly. They'll never forget you. That's for sure. Yep. But finding that balance, though,
you might be in jail for a year, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, and that's, I don't know, it's fun too, right? Is like that creative aspect of taking all the ingredients, those interests and hobby, finding all of that stuff, and then staying sometimes in constraint a little bit, either budget or industry regulation, whatever that might be. But finding, shaking all that up in a bag and, figuring out, okay, this is what we could do with this. And it's so wild because I think a lot of folks, especially who aren't excited by that, who don't care about the creative side of business and all of that, I think they have that in a bucket of, well, we don't have the budget for that. We don't have the budget, when sometimes it's cheaper than what they're doing, way less expensive than they could possibly imagine when it's being described. And then because nobody else is doing it, it moves the needle like crazy.
Exactly. And part of when I'm prospecting myself outreach, I try to find people actually hiring sales reps. And I'm like, listen, to hire me and target your top 100 people is going to be way less expensive over the next year to hire a new account executive or even an SDR, just from an onboarding and training standpoint, let alone throw in some benefits, 401k match, whatever you got. I mean, right there, you're covering my cost.
And that's if they work out. If they stay, and if you're not doing it again in 3 months, I mean, exactly.
You have to sometimes when you get on high level conversations with these executives, you have to tell them listen, this is what it costs. I don't know the exact numbers for your business, but this is industry regulation, and here's where I'm at, and these are the results that we're going to get. And I didn't mention in my opening comments that part of the reason why, the main reason why I called my company Coin Flip Marketing is, you flip a coin, heads tell, it's 50%. We want to give you odds better than a coin flip to get the meeting. So we have different tier pricing based on how bad you want to get that meeting. Obviously, the higher you go up to get the meeting, they're more costs, and there's additional steps. But on our tier 3 level, we guarantee that you're going to get 50% hit ratios because we're going to do so much that company or that person's going to say, you know what, just come in and see me because you're so dang persistent. But that's really what we're trying to do. So
give me some examples of both what you're doing at this personalization level to bring on new clients to coin flip, but then also what you're doing for those clients, and kind of walk me through a scenario when somebody would hire you and what you would go and do for them.
Yeah, so I'll start with that second kind of question. Is this is a very highly, I hate to use guns because guns are a thing, but this is a very Navy SEAL sniper approach. Whereas a lot of these lead generations, I'd say, are more a shotgun approach. We're going to send the same 1,000 message to these 1,000 people and hope that a few of them stick on the wall. One of the services we do, we can come in and help a company identify those game changers, those Navy SEAL kind of sniper approach, who are the 50 that, if they do say yes, changes the trajectory of your career, your company, whatever. So I start there. This is not for everybody. When you're looking as a sales rep or a company, if you have 10,000 people in your pipeline, you're not doing this for 10,000 people. You couldn't do it. There's not enough time in a year, let alone a month. And you don't have the budget to do it. It's for those 50, 100, 150 of that many prospects that you would implement a strategy like this. Now, for an example, let's say we go on XYZ's website. Let's call his name Rob, and we find his picture. And this is an example I use in my course that's coming out. It's my good buddy Rob Madden. He works at Merrill Lynch in Long Island. We find out that he went to the Naval Academy. He loves music. He's been to 500 concerts. Obviously, he's a financial advisor. We're going to put together, and I'll show you a hard example here in a second. I should have had this out ready to go, but I didn't. There's one example. Where'd it go? Maybe I won't show you. It was just sitting right here. We'll put, this is not his example, but I'll move my screen here. It's like we'll Photoshop them on the front of the Wall Street Journal. It's kind of hard to see there because of my glare of my light, but we'll take um, their picture and put out there, and that's a tagline from this individual's website called Financial Freedom. Um, he's a huge baseball fan, so we took a stock photo and put a baseball in there. We put him again on the front of another magazine. He loves to lift weights, so we put a picture of weights. And if I remember correctly, we sent him some like baseball coasters with his team name, his financial advisory firm's name on it. And we package it very nice for the client, and we send it on their behalf. So when I created CoinFlip, I wanted it to be as seamless as possible. One of the struggles I had when I was a sales rep was I wanted to do all this stuff, but the newish of the day-to-day gets in your way, right? Or the week by week, right? You have your conference calls with your firm, you got to do your expenses, you got to go to your 20 meetings, got to do your reports, put your notes in. The Friday at 4 o'clock goes by, you're like, oh, all that stuff I wanted to do, I didn't get done. And what I realized is for people to use me, I had to make the process as seamless as possible. And three things I tell people when they hire us: you got to do three things: provide us your list, approve what we're going to send because it's your brand. Like, I want to make sure you're comfortable with what we're sending, specifically the wording or the verbiage in the card, and you got to follow up. That's it. We do everything else, and that's kind of paid for you. And to answer your other question, like when I'm outreaching, I don't change it up. I do the exact same process and pretty much say, if this made you smile or you think it would help open doors, let's talk. I just change the verbiage of the card. I do the exact same process. We do a lot of these though too. We'll put a custom sticker. It's a company called Print-O-Vision. I don't know if you can see it there. We would kind of take that picture of the Wall Street Journal and put it on the front here. You open it up. It's a video. It's upside down. It's a video of you talking. We can create a custom video for you. That's what we had to do for those higher end retail I talked about earlier in the show. And you slap your logo on the back. Now it becomes marketing material, not a gift. The company was okay with that. I don't know if I would approve of that in some industries, but they were okay. I'm like, hey, it's your business, your industry. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But so those are kind of one or two things that we do to, help people get the meetings that they've been trying to get.
Yeah. So your clients aren't necessarily the financial advisor. Your clients are targeting financial advisors, right? So
correct. So I have that. I do work with financial advisors. I do work for some software sale companies, and we're starting to target some real estate agents as well, and then maybe some commercial insurance agents as well. But that's really kind of the 5 industries that we target. We do work with some hodgepodge of other companies all across the country that do different things, but that's where 90% of our revenue are those first 3 industries that I mentioned: asset managers, financial advisors, and software sales.
Gotcha. And then, so what's the call to action on those? Is this just trying to get that meeting and get that foot in the door?
Exactly. The call to action is like, hey, and you're very specific. I'm going to be emailing you to get on your calendar. That's it. That's all you're asking. You're not trying to sell anything. You're just trying to get their attention. You're trying to get that 15 minutes, the undivided 15-minute attention that you deserve, or 30-minute face-to-face, whatever they prefer, to start talking about what you do. But more importantly, I think you're going to get the undivided attention. You got to bring it too. I'm not a sales process training coach. I could refer to many people, but I think once you get their attention, you better be done your homework as well. Like, hey, I know this, and this about you. Here's where we fit. What are you using here, right? Like, you better be prepared. So,
well, and I think that's where a lot of us are, right? We know that if I can just get in front of that person, they're going to love me. They're going to love what we do, and it's just that slog of trying to separate yourself from everybody else, get that meeting, have that face-to-face time, whatever version of that might be. Yeah. And then in all of that follow-up, you can reference back the piece you sent them, the whatever maybe you did to just help jog their memory a little bit.
Yeah. I've never met a salesperson that says I have a closing problem. That's for sure. It's exactly what we're talking about. I can't get enough, butts in the seat. I can't get enough FaceTime now, I guess, call it, via Zoom to close. And that's really trying to the problem we solve, is to make sure you get enough butts in the seats or enough FaceTime via Zoom or Skype or whatever you're using to close.
Yeah. I love that. Again, it's just that creative aspect of all of this. And talk to me a little bit on your book too, because I know they're sort of two separate things, but those wow moments, the book is around, 50 wow moments. That's a lot of what we're talking about though too, is that experience when someone receives this, like you said,
Mhm.
we never get something physical, certainly personalized and physical in the mail certainly from a stranger. Howard, walk me through just that book aspect a little bit and some of those wow moments that you talk about in there.
Yeah, so I think the wow moments could be used for prospecting. By all means, and we can walk you through that in a second. But I mean, when I designed the 50 wow moments, and I'm actually releasing every day on LinkedIn now 50 inexpensive wow moments, like free or very low cost ideas to kind of wow clients that you don't have to spend anything. It's just the thought that counts. But when I wrote the book, it was all about kind of, you have the client already. How do you keep them? How do you keep on raising the bar? If you're the business owner, the salesperson, and perfect example. Let's say you did just get my mail, and I'm coming to see you. You're in Colorado Springs. Um, Come flying out to Denver, and I'm going to come see you and drive up, right, or down. I forget where you guys are at relative to Denver, but part of the process might be I get on the phone with your assistant, like I'm coming to see him. Does he have a favorite drink, favorite coffee, favorite tea? Yeah, he loves a vanilla latte for Starbucks. I show up with a vanilla latte from Starbucks for our meeting. Bam, like this guy's already wowed me, right? He already wowed me from the minute he got the mailer, and now he's coming with my Starbucks latte. Um, a simple way to obviously do that. Or, now I've had the meeting. How do I actually create a wow moment after the meeting? And I still think today the art of a handwritten note is lost art, and most people don't do it. I think you should send a handwritten note, but the most important part of that handwritten note is the PS at the bottom. You highlight something he or she said that's very important to him. He or she might have said, I'm going to Maui next week. You're like, hey, I know you're probably going to get this while you're on your trip. I hope you had fun in Maui. Look forward to catching up when you get back. It showed you listened. You showed him that you cared. And I think that's part of the process most people miss in the follow-up process. One of the things we talk about in the wow moments is how do you stay top of mind? So you got the mailer. We wowed you with the Starbucks. You got the handwritten note. Now it's okay. The CEO or whoever you met with has to make a decision, has to meet with this team. It's going to take 3 to 6 months. Like, how do you stay top of mind over the next 3 to 6 months? Well, we have a program called the Law of 29, which we can get into in a second. But we help you create fun, creative drip cards around random holidays or random events. Example: I just helped a client do 50 Masters cards in April. He followed it up with a Kentucky Derby card and a Memorial Day card that's going to be hitting probably tomorrow, Thursday. Like using these fun, odd holidays that where no one ever gets cards about and using it to your advantage as a wow moment, because the cards we design are beautiful, they're shiny, they're just nice looking cards. And guess what? They cost $1.50 to make. They're not expensive. And to our point, if it's $100,000 prospect, sending a $1.50 card goes a long way that they might keep. So those are kind of some of the ideas in the book that we talk about. Or another example, I said, like, hey, I knew you're going to Maui, but let's say it's 2 months from now. Maybe send in a quick handwritten note and then maybe include a travel book about Maui. So it's the wow moments are all about really kind of using what you know about your clients and using it to your advantage outside and using it way more to your advantage. Because if you've been my client for 5 to 10 years, I should know a lot about you that I can use to my advantage. And this book's really kind of designed to get your brain thinking about, okay, here's my 20 best clients. Here's what I know about them. You can really design a game plan over the next 2 to 3 years with all these ideas in this book to really take that client service model to the next level.
Oh yeah. And I think that's what's really the key here too, is just that intentionality. It's just having your brain turned on, like you said, sparked by that book, sparked by this conversation to go like, oh yeah, that just shakes us out of our day to day. And then put it in something like put it in your calendar, put it in a CRM, systemize this thing so that it becomes this thing you do. All the humanness is still there. You're just reminding yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
everything you just described phenomenal, be just so well received, but we could all do that in 5 minutes per client, right? Like to go like, oh man, what are a few things I could do? Like boom, boom, boom. And then of course the
Yeah,
actual execution you can outsource and you can, yeah.
exactly. So like my point is like with the cards, I could within an hour, you tell me what 6 next odd holidays you want to do. You give me your list. It's set up. We create the cards. Obviously, you have to approve of the copy, and it's set up. And you have 6 touches over the next, call it 6 months, for your best clients to stay in touch with. And especially in the summer months, people are traveling. They're hard to get a hold on the phone. Can't really get a face-to-face meeting. Um, Over the next 3 months, they're going to get a nice card from you. And it's what's great. Once again, it's they've never gotten that card before about that topic.
So they've got a
And two,
story. They're not going to throw it away for months,
mm,
and yeah, it's
yeah.
going to sit on their desk.
So like here's an example of the one we just did for the. I'll move this again. Here's the Masters Week. So we put Masters Week
Oh yeah.
inside. There's the clubhouse. There's the notes, kind of blurry, but and then there's my logo on the back. And so that's what obviously it was that my client's logo that we put on the back when we sent it out, but something like that. And he knew within his book of business who his 40 or 50 golfers were. I can't remember how we did it for, and he targeted his golfers. Now, I
Yeah.
think they missed the mark. If you send a master's card to someone who's never even turned on the TV or swung a golf club, you're probably missing the mark. So it really comes back to that KYC. What do you know about your client, that you can leverage and show them that you care?
Yeah, and then if you don't know, you can still pick 10 completely wacky, National Banana Day,
Yeah,
holidays
Memorial
too.
Day, July 4th. And I tell if you really want to have fun with it, buy a little tchotchke, like a barbecue sauce for Memorial Day. Maybe send a pack of sparklers for July 4th. St. Patrick's Day, you can send something, green chocolate, or I don't know. I've never done
Oh
anything for
yeah.
St. Patrick's Day, but you can get. We actually for a client this year, we did a March Madness mailer on the front of the car. We personalized it with where they went to school, and we included a koozie of the school they went to who made the tournament. So we got in front of it. We were like a week before. We knew kind of all you knew Duke was getting in. You knew Kansas was getting in. We knew not necessarily North Carolina was getting, but you know where I'm going with it. And we build out that list, and we kind of had our bubble list, like, these teams may or may not make it, and then if they didn't make it, we just didn't send it. And he's got the card and koozie for next year. So, um,
Oh yeah. Or you send, if your client, likes their alcohol, they're going to have a fun
yeah,
time and all that. Send them a July 5th hangover kit, right? Like
yeah, there you go. That's my New Year's Day
oh,
packaging.
nice.
Send a hangover. I mean, you could do that too. Yeah, it works. I would take one every day of the week.
That's great. Well, I love this. I love this subject. It's so fascinating because it really combines two of my favorite things, which is business and then the human side of it. And you're forcing yourself into this. I use that, facetiously a little bit, but you force yourself into learning the human that you're across from or you're trying to get across from. And it's a good discipline to get into. It's a good mindset that carries way beyond coming up with some creative gift. It's like, wow, now when you do get that meeting, like you talk about, this salesperson who can show up and they're on their game, well, that applies to the humanness too, so that when they do show up, they've got all these things to relate to this other person with.
Yeah, yeah, and yep, you're right on. And part of I didn't get into it is part of the equation when we do this is I call it USP gift giving. I wanted to go with UPS, but unfortunately, there's this big brown company that sends packages that might have, got mad at me, so I had to change around the P and the S. But it's everything you should do when you're doing these types of outreach should be unique, which is the U, should be surprise, which is the S, and P should be personalized. Now, they don't have to hit on all 3 things, but our first initial package I talked about when we do that door opener hits on all 3 of them. It's unique, it's surprise, and it's personalized, which are the trifecta that make this process work. Personalized example, and I went earlier on the card about the PS. When you're sending out a correspondence to your clients and emails, um, let's say you got 500 clients, maybe your top 50, don't blast them. You take them out and you throw a PS. at the bottom of them say, hey, P.S., enjoy your summer vacation to Hilton Head this year. P.S., good luck to Maddie in graduation in a few weeks. Whatever it is, just to humanize the process. And that's just personalized. That's doesn't take but 2 seconds to add a PS at the bottom of an email. Now it's going to take you a little more time than send 50 of them, but you bet those clients are paying attention. And if you're like me and everybody else, you scan emails, you don't read them. Everybody reads the PS, no matter what. They read the PS. So it's a home run if you put some personalized information in there, and that's just one part of the USP equation. It's personalized and it's an email. So
I love it. I love this whole subject. I love what you're building here. How can people find out more and just learn about what you got going on and how they can hire you?
Yeah. So I have a website, www.coinflipmarketing.com. If you're listening to this show, I'll make sure you get a copy of my book, the link. So it's free. I'll make sure it's free so you can get in, log in, read the book, tell me what your thoughts. My email is jeremy@coinflipmarketing.com. Call me, text me too if you want. Just don't try to cold call me. I'm just joking. I'm adamant on LinkedIn. Stop the cold calling. It doesn't work. I don't pick up random numbers that often. But text me and I'll respond. And it's 574-360-3431. And I'm active daily on LinkedIn, Monday through Friday, posting contents about wow moments, personalization, strategic gifting. Just type in Jeremy Blubaugh in LinkedIn. My profile will pop up with CoinFlip Marketing. And I'll leave with this. If you're looking to trade currency, cryptocurrency, that is not me. You have the wrong CoinFlip company. When I created the name 6 years ago, I had no idea that was going to be a thing. And it is. I still get a call probably once every 2 weeks about trying to buy crypto. So hope it's not you, listener.
Awesome. Jeremy, thank you so much for doing this. This has been a blast. I encourage everybody
thanks for having me.
To reach out to you and learn more. So this is awesome.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, and hope everybody learned something today.
And we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of this show. If you want help creating authority-building video content or even a client-generating show of your own, go to MediaLeadsCo.com and let's connect. I'll talk to you soon on the next Strategy in Action.